Love isn't always lost in a single moment. It often fades slowly, slipping through the cracks while one person remains unaware. Relationships don't always end with explosive arguments or dramatic confrontations. Sometimes, the most painful goodbyes happen in silence, with one partner emotionally checking out long before they physically walk away. If you ever had someone leave you unexpectedly, you might have replayed everything in your head, wondering where it all went wrong. But the truth is, people rarely leave without warning signs. These signs might be subtle at first, but if you pay close attention, you'll notice them building up over time. The problem is, many of us choose to ignore these red flags, either out of love, denial, or fear of what they truly mean. When someone is planning to leave, their behavior changes in noticeable ways. They withdraw emotionally, their energy shifts, and suddenly you find yourself feeling like a stranger in your own relationship. Conversations become shorter, affection feels forced, and the warmth you once shared slowly disappears. You might tell yourself it's just a rough patch or that they're stressed with work, but deep down, you sense that something is off. Ignoring these warning signs can leave you blindsided and heartbroken. No one wants to be left in the dark, investing time and love in someone who has already decided to walk away. That's why understanding these signs early can save you from unnecessary pain. It allows you to take control of the situation, confront the truth, and decide what's best for your heart before it's too late. In this video, we'll break down the key signs that someone may be secretly planning to leave. We'll reveal the behaviors that indicate emotional detachment, the patterns that show they're mentally checking out, and the subtle clues that suggest they're preparing to say goodbye. If you notice these signs in your own relationship, don't ignore them. It's time to face the reality of what's happening and decide whether you want to fight for the relationship or prepare yourself for what's to come. One of the earliest and most telling signs that someone is planning to leave is a noticeable change in how they communicate. When someone is emotionally invested in a relationship, conversations flow naturally. They engage with enthusiasm, ask questions, and genuinely care about what you have to say. But when they start pulling away, their engagement in conversations takes a hit. You might notice that their responses become shorter, almost robotic. What once was a deep and engaging conversation turns into replies and nonchalant reactions. You share something important with them, expecting a response, but instead you get a vague "that's nice" or "okay." It's not just about the words. They seem distracted, as if their mind is elsewhere. Even when they do respond, their tone lacks warmth and excitement. Another red flag is their lack of curiosity. When someone truly loves you, they take an interest in your life. They ask about your day, your thoughts, and your feelings. But when they're planning to leave, they stop asking. It feels as if they're no longer interested in knowing you on a deeper level. You may even catch them zoning out, scrolling through their phone, or looking around as if they're not fully present. If you call them out on it, they might say they're just tired or stressed, but the pattern continues. Conversations feel forced, almost like a chore they're trying to get through rather than something they enjoy. If you notice a shift in how they communicate, shorter responses, lack of engagement, or seeming uninterested, it's a strong indication that their heart may already be drifting away. One of the most telling signs that someone is considering leaving is when they stop making plans with you. When a person is fully invested in a relationship, they naturally think ahead, whether it's planning a vacation, discussing future milestones, or even just setting up a date night for the weekend. But when they start emotionally detaching, their willingness to make commitments diminishes. You might notice that whenever you bring up the future, they respond vaguely or change the subject. Instead of saying, "That sounds great, let's do it," They'll say things like, let's see how things go, or I don't want to plan too far ahead. These subtle deflections indicate a lack of intention to build something with you. Even in small ways, this shift is noticeable. Maybe they used to be excited about discussing birthdays, holidays, or even what to do next weekend, but now they seem indifferent. They don't take the initiative to plan anything, leaving all the effort up to you. And when you do try to set something in motion, they either make excuses, cancel last minute, or simply seem unenthusiastic about it. If someone is no longer including you in their vision for the future, it's likely because they don't see you as a part of it anymore. When someone is planning to leave, they often look for ways to justify their decision, even if it means creating problems that weren't there before. Small disagreements that used to be resolved easily suddenly turn into heated arguments. They become more irritable, critical, and easily frustrated, as if they're searching for a reason to be upset. This behavior can be confusing. One moment, everything seems fine, and the next, they're lashing out over something trivial. Maybe they start nitpicking, complaining about how you do things, finding fault in your habits, or even accusing you of things that never used to bother them. You might even hear phrases like, we're always fighting, or this just isn't working anymore, even though the arguments seem. Picking fights is often a subconscious way of detaching. They may be hoping that the tension builds up to the point where breaking it feels inevitable. Some people do this to avoid being the bad guy. Instead of openly expressing their desire to leave, they create a hostile environment so that when the breakout happens, they can justify it by saying, see, we weren't happy anyway. If your relationship has recently become full of unnecessary conflict and you feel like they're pushing you into arguments rather than resolving them, they may already have one foot out the door. Physical affection is one of the strongest indicators of emotional connection. When someone loves and cares for you, they naturally want to express it through touch, hugs, kisses, holding hands, or even just casual touches throughout the day. But when they start withdrawing emotionally, physical intimacy is often one of the first things to fade. At first, it might seem subtle. Maybe they stop initiating affection as often, or when you reach out for a hug, they pull away faster than before. Kisses feel routine rather than meaningful, and intimacy becomes less frequent. Over time, these small changes add up, and you start to feel a noticeable distance between you. You might ask them if something's wrong, and they'll brush it off, blaming stress, work, or being tired. While those things can genuinely affect affection levels, a consistent pattern of avoiding touch is often a sign of emotional detachment. If someone is no longer invested in the relationship, they won't feel the same urge to express love physically. It's not just about intimacy, it's about the warmth that comes with physical connection. If hugs feel forced, cuddles disappear, and becomes rare, it's a strong indication that their feelings have shifted. When emotional closeness fades, physical affection usually follows. When a person starts emotionally checking out of a relationship, their focus shifts elsewhere. You may start to notice that they spend more time with friends, coworkers, or even on social media, leaving you feeling like an afterthought. At first, it might seem innocent. Maybe they suddenly get busier with work, take on new projects, or say they need more time for themselves. But over time, you realize that their free time is being spent with other people, not with you. They cancel plans with you but have no problem making time for others. They used to text you throughout the day, but now their phone is constantly in their hands, and it's not you they're talking to. Even when you do spend time together, they seem distracted, more interested in scrolling through their phone or responding to messages than engaging with you. If they used to share their world with you, introducing you to their friends, involving you in their activities. But now they keep you at a distance. It's a major red flag. You might also notice that they're suddenly more invested in their personal growth, but in a way that excludes you. They start picking up new hobbies, joining new social circles, or even making future plans without involving you. It's not that having an independent life is a bad thing, but when someone who once prioritized you suddenly shifts their energy elsewhere, it's worth questioning why. If you feel like you're competing for their attention and always coming in second place, it may be because they're emotionally disengaging from the relationship. When someone is emotionally invested in a relationship, they naturally share details about their life, what happened at work, their thoughts, their struggles, and their victories. But when they start pulling away, secrecy takes the place of openness. You might notice that they stop telling you about their day. Conversations that once flowed easily now feel like pulling teeth. You ask how their day went, and instead of a detailed response, you get a vague "it was fine." They used to tell you about their plans in advance, but now you find out about them after the fact, if at all. Their phone habits might change as well. If they once had no issue leaving their phone around, they now keep it close, tilting the screen away or stepping out of the room to take calls. They might start locking their phone or clearing messages more frequently. While this doesn't always mean they're being unfaithful, it does indicate that they don't want you to have access to certain aspects of their life anymore. Another major sign is that they start leaving you out of personal matters. If they used to talk about their struggles, goals, and dreams but now keep everything to themselves, it's a sign that they're mentally detaching. They're no longer including you in their emotional world, which means they may already be preparing for a future without you. Secrecy in a relationship often means emotional disconnection. If they've stopped sharing their thoughts, feelings, or plans, it's time to pay attention to what they might not be saying out loud. A shift in routine can be one of the biggest indicators that someone is emotionally checking out of a relationship. When a person is engaged and committed, their daily habits naturally revolve around their partner in some way. But when they're considering leaving, those habits start to change, often in subtle yet noticeable ways. Maybe they suddenly have a different sleep schedule. They used to go to bed at the same time as you, but now they stay up late or wake up earlier to spend time alone. Perhaps they've developed new habits, going to the gym more often, picking up a new hobby, or spending more time with friends without inviting you. Unexpected solo outings or increased time away from home can signal that they are slowly adjusting to life without you. At first, these changes may not seem alarming. After all, people evolve, and it's natural to explore new interests. But if they're actively creating a lifestyle that excludes you, whether that's through new activities, different social circles, or altered daily habits, it's worth questioning why. A person preparing to leave often starts making their independence a priority. They may be testing what life feels like without you before making the final decision. And while change itself isn't bad, when those changes push you further apart instead of bringing you closer, it's a red flag. Many people assume that constant arguing is a sign a relationship is falling apart. But what's even more alarming? Silence. When someone is invested in a relationship, they care about what happens in it. They bring up concerns, voice their frustrations, and argue because they want things to improve. However, when they stop caring, they stop fighting. They no longer push for change or seek resolutions because, in their mind, the relationship isn't worth the effort anymore. You might notice that things that used to annoy them no longer seem to matter. They used to get upset when you forgot to text back, but now they barely acknowledge it. They once voiced concerns about how you handled certain things, but now they just shrug and let it go. This change in behavior isn't about personal growth or newfound patience. It's often a sign of emotional detachment. Apathy is more dangerous than anger. It means they've emotionally checked out and no longer see the relationship as something worth fighting for. Instead of resolving issues, they let them slide because, deep down, they know they're preparing to walk away. Communication is the heart of any relationship. When two people are emotionally connected, they share their thoughts, feelings, and vulnerabilities. But when someone is planning to leave, they begin to shut down emotionally, putting up walls instead of opening up. Maybe they used to vent to you after a long day, but now they keep things to themselves. When you ask, "What's wrong?" they brush it off with, "I'm fine," or "It's nothing." They no longer seek comfort from you, and instead they deal with their emotions alone, or worse, turn to someone else. It's not just about sharing negative emotions. Even happy moments seem less exciting to them. If they used to celebrate small victories with you but now seem indifferent, it could mean they no longer see you as their emotional support system. This emotional distance is often more painful than physical distance. It creates an invisible barrier that makes you feel like you're living separate lives, even when you're in the same room. If they're avoiding deep conversations, it's often because they've already made the decision to leave in their mind. They just haven't vocalized it yet. Is a great thing, but when it happens suddenly and intensely within a relationship, it can sometimes indicate an underlying reason, especially if the focus seems to be on creating a new version of themselves that doesn't include you. Maybe they hit the gym more than usual, revamp their wardrobe, or start making changes in their appearance. They might take on new interests, spend more time alone, or set ambitious goals. But the key thing to notice is whether they're including you in this journey. If they're genuinely improving themselves while still being invested in the relationship, that's one thing. But if there feels like a preparation for a fresh start without you, especially if they start emphasizing their independence, changing social circles, or emotionally withdrawing, it's a red flag. This shift can also be seen in the way they talk about the future. Instead of saying we, they start saying I. Instead of making plans with you, they focus on individual goals. If their changes feel like they're building a separate life rather than strengthening your relationship, it could mean they're emotionally preparing for an exit. When someone truly values a relationship, they enjoy spending time with their partner. They miss them when they're apart, and their mood is noticeably better when they reunite. But when someone is emotionally checking out, the opposite happens. They seem more at ease when you're not around. Maybe you notice a shift in their body language. When you walk into a room, their expression changes, less excitement, less warmth. When you leave, they seem relieved, more relaxed, or even happier. These are small but significant cues that indicate how they truly feel when you're present versus when you're absent. They might also start seeking more alone time, preferring solitude over shared moments. If they used to love spending weekends together but now find excuses to be elsewhere, it could mean they no longer crave your presence. They may even seem happier and more engaged when they're with friends or coworkers, while interactions with you feel forced or obligatory. This shift can be subtle at first, but over time it becomes clear your presence no longer brings them joy, and your absence no longer feels like a loss. When someone is mentally checking out of a relationship, their energy reflects it. A healthy relationship thrives on mutual effort. It's about the little things, sending a thoughtful text, planning date nights, or simply showing appreciation. But when someone is preparing to leave, they stop trying. They no longer go out of their way to make you feel special. Compliments fade, surprises disappear, and conversations become robotic. They do just enough to keep things going but lack the enthusiasm and warmth that once made the relationship fulfilling. It's not just about romance, it's about emotional investment. They used to check in on you or they offer support or make an effort to make you happy. Now they seem indifferent. They might still respond to messages, but they don't initiate conversations. They might agree to spend time with you, but they don't make plans themselves. This effort is a major sign that they've emotionally disengaged. It's a slow fade, not an abrupt departure. And in many cases, they're waiting for you to notice, because deep down, they know the relationship is ending. Not everyone has the courage to say, I don't want this relationship anymore. Instead, many people slowly withdraw, hoping their partner will pick up on the signs and make the breakup easier. But why do they do this? One of the biggest reasons is avoidance of confrontation. Breaking up is difficult, and for some, the thought of sitting down and having a painful conversation is too overwhelming. They fear hurting your feelings or dealing with emotional outbursts, so instead of being direct, they pull away gradually, making it easier to exit without an official discussion. Another reason is guilt. If they once loved you but no longer feel the same way, they may struggle with breaking your heart. Instead of outright leaving, they distance themselves, hoping you'll be the one to call it quits. This allows them to avoid the weight of responsibility, making you feel like the decision was mutual even when it wasn't. Some people also keep one foot in and one foot out because they're uncertain. They may be questioning their feelings but don't want to let go just yet. They might be exploring other options emotionally or mentally, preparing for life without you while keeping you as a safety net. Lastly, fear plays a major role. Fear of loneliness, fear of regret, or fear of change can prevent people from being honest about their intentions. They secretly plan their exit while keeping you around until they feel ready to move on completely. If you notice these warning signs, don't ignore them, address them. While it's possible that they're struggling with personal issues rather than planning to leave, communication is the only way to find out. The first step is to have an open conversation. Pick a calm moment and express your concerns. Instead of accusing them, use I statements. I've noticed you've been distant lately, and I feel like something's wrong. Can we talk about it? This opens the door for honest dialogue without making them defensive. Observe their response carefully. Do they dismiss your feelings? Do they avoid the topic? Or do they acknowledge the issue and show a willingness to work on it? Someone who still cares will make an effort to reassure you and rebuild the connection. Someone who has already checked out will likely stay distant or offer vague excuses. Another important step is to reignite the emotional connection. If they're withdrawing due to stress or personal struggles, making an effort to reconnect through quality time, meaningful conversations, or shared experiences can help. But if they're intentionally detaching, you'll notice that no matter what you do, they don't respond with the same energy. At the end of the day, you deserve clarity. If someone truly cares about you, they won't leave you guessing. If they can't provide reassurance or effort, it might be time to face the truth and prepare to move forward. Understanding these reasons can help you recognize when someone is emotionally withdrawing and why they might not be upfront about it. While it's painful to realize, it's better to face the truth than to be blindsided. There comes a point when you have to decide, are you holding on to something that's already gone? If they've stopped making an effort, refuse to communicate, and show no signs of wanting to fix things, then walking away might be the best option. Staying in a relationship where you feel unwanted or uncertain will only damage you. The biggest indicator that it's time to leave is when you're the only one fighting for the relationship. Love should be a street. If you're constantly the one trying to fix things while they remain indifferent, it's a sign that they're already emotionally gone. Another sign is lack of respect. If they're ignoring your needs, keeping secrets, or treating you like an afterthought, then staying only prolongs the pain. A healthy relationship is built on mutual care and effort. If that's missing, then it's time to prioritize yourself. Leaving is never easy, but remember this: walking away from the wrong person creates space for the right one. Someone who truly loves you will be emotionally present, not distant. They'll make you feel secure, not uncertain. They'll choose you every day, not plan an exit behind your back. Protect your heart by recognizing when it's time to let go. It's painful, but in the end, you deserve someone who stays, not someone who slowly drifts away.